What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Process Sports Radio. Hope you guys are all doing well. I have a special guest today, one of my good friends, Mr. Rayn Rashid. Rayn, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing real good today.
I
Good
appreciate you
weather.
coming on the show, man. I appreciate it. We've been talking about it for a while now, and we finally got you to come on. It's definitely been one of the most exciting episodes I've been waiting for to talk to you about sports and a couple other things too.
Yeah, it's been in the works for a while, and I've been trying to get on, this prestigious show for a while, and glad we
You
got it
don't
worked
gotta
out.
gas me like that, man.
There's no gas here, man. It's all truth. It's all facts.
But yeah, man, we have a big show lineup today. We're gonna talk about some basketball, some football, and then since you and I are both big music heads, we're gonna talk about some music too and what we're feeling on that. But before we
Nice.
get into all that, let's first of all, you can follow me on Instagram at Process Sports Radio, on Twitter _Process Sports. Of course, like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. This will be on Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. So make sure you check it out on there. But yeah, Rain, let's go right into it, man. Since we are in Toronto right now, and I don't want to talk about the Maple Leafs because, as you guys all know, I fucking hate the Maple Leafs and I don't want to give them the time of day. Let's talk about another Toronto team, the Toronto Raptors. So, Rain, so far this season, what have your biggest takeaways been from the Raptors season so far? As I see you're wearing the OVO Raptors shirt.
Yeah, early on, I was really disappointed as a Raptors fan, as I'm sure everyone was. Started the season like 6-1. From there, we've really gelled as a team. I think losing losing Ibaka and Gasol obviously left a really big hole in the middle, and we started off a little bit rocky. But since then, the Raptors have really found their mesh and their roles and like all of the players that they have, and they still have some work to do, especially in that center position. But it's looking good. 15-15 now.
Yeah, they got to 500. Although, what's his face? Watanabe got absolutely posterized by Anthony Edwards. Oh my
I
god,
was
man,
just watching that.
that was absolutely
A minute ago.
disgusting. What I saw that, man, that was like I witnessed a murder on live TV. But like you're saying, though, man, like yeah, the Raptors started off 2-8. They're struggling a lot, mightily struggling badly. Um, I do think they have made improvements, but at the end of the day, bro, in my opinion, I don't think the Raptors are much of a threat in the East at all. It's nice that they're doing well, right? I just don't see them competing against Brooklyn. I know they beat Milwaukee 2 straight, but I think the East, it's Brooklyn and it's Brooklyn only, right? Maybe Boston, right? Philly looks nice too. Because Embiid's finally playing
Yeah,
committed,
he
but
dropped
I don't
50 the other
see
day.
I don't see Toronto, doing much this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think that they should tank. I never think any team should tank.
No, I think
I
tanking is
think
wrong.
I agree. I think they'll make the playoffs. But honestly, like you said, I don't see them beating the Brooklyn. I don't see them beating Philly. If that were the case, coming
Yeah,
into the
man.
playoffs in the
Like
low last spot.
I think like this is an interesting thing I was trying to talk about before was the fact that if you look at it in the NBA, at the NBA alone, compared to other leagues, the superstar player has so much impact in the game, right? You look at it, and you look at the last, I don't know, 25, 30 champions in the NBA, maybe one team didn't have a superstar player. Most of the time, if
Detroit.
you want to win in the NBA, you need a superstar player. And the Raptors don't have a superstar. Yes, Pascal Siakam was an all-star last year, but for whatever reason after the bubble, he just hasn't been the same, right? Kyle Lowry's old and injured now. He's a former all-star, but no, he was never a superstar. And Fred VanVleet should be an all-star in my opinion, but he just doesn't get that respect he deserves because in the NBA, it's a whole lot of popularity contest against the NBA all-star, even in my opinion, right? So I just think the Raptors, if they want to get back to that championship aspiration, they need a superstar player, right? You look back at 2019 when they won, title, right? Most famously, what happened? They had a superstar in Kawhi Leonard, and
Kawhi
he's
Leonard.
not, of
Yeah.
course, not with the Raptors anymore. So I think that's what the Raptors need to get back to a championship level.
I agree, but the most difficult thing about getting a superstar is signing them during free agency. And we only got Kawhi Leonard through a trade. We sent DeMar DeRozan
Yeah,
to the Spurs, and that was only for half a season. The same thing is happening in the rumors about Drummond, who we could definitely use, but at the same time, he'll be a free agent at the end of the year. And what is it? What are we, like a rent a car?
yeah,
No.
exactly. You're gonna give up
Um,
all these assets just for a guy who might play the rest of the season and maybe like one or two rounds of the playoffs and then leave, right? So I don't see
it's
the I don't.
disappointing. It's disappointing because in all the teams in the East and all the locations in the East, I rank Toronto as a city top 3 in destinations in the
Yeah,
East.
man.
You
Like,
look at New York and you look at Miami. So New York, Brooklyn, Miami, bro, Toronto is the next best city.
yeah, 100% agree with you. Like, I've only been here since September, right? And I can, even though this whole city's on lockdown, you can't do anything, right? I can definitely see that this city of Toronto is it's a poppin' city, man. There's stuff happening here that if this city was open, right, that there would stuff be going off all the time. And there's so many different restaurants, bars, clubs, sports teams, right? So many
Culture,
different, so many different cultures here. Like not only with just there's Caribbeans, West Indians, South Asians, so many different variety of people here that you don't get anywhere else in the world, right? And that's very,
mhm,
very, very attractive to people. But I think the biggest thing is, do people really want to play in Canada, right? Like different country, different customs. You got to pay more tax and stuff like that.
that's
Like,
a huge thing.
right? Whereas for me, right, if I was a free agent and I was an American free agent, right, I wasn't Canadian, I would want to like play in Miami where there's no state income tax and the weather is nice all the time,
That's the
rather
number
than
one spot.
playing in Toronto, which might be a nicer city. Toronto might be a better, nicer city than like Orlando or something like that. But I don't get taxed as much. It's not as cold, right? Stuff like that, right? But
Yeah,
then again, the one thing I do say is if Kawhi Leonard stayed in Toronto, right, he would have been the biggest athlete in Canada. He would have had a whole country behind him, right?
whole country.
And
We were
that's
already behind him.
yeah,
Like you saw how the restaurants in Toronto were like, "Yo, Kawhi Leonard, if you stay, you eat here for free,
for free
unlimited,
for
whatever. It
life,
doesn't
right?
matter."
Like you think about it, right? Like that's something that's kind of cool, man. Like having you not just have a whole city behind you, but a whole country, right? Like the Raptors are really Canada's NBA team, the only NBA team in the country, and they do a
Exactly.
very good job of training camps in different Canadian cities,
Hmm.
having all red jerseys, right? Really
We the
representing Canada.
North, you
Yeah,
know.
we the North, that whole moniker, right? That is something that really makes them Canada's team, and being a superstar athlete in Canada and having that whole country behind you, I think is crazy, man. You can't ever like say like, oh, I have a whole city behind me, but hey, I got a whole country behind me, right? That's something that just got levels to it. You know what I mean?
I totally agree with that, and I think it would be sick to be like the number one guy in the Raptors, be a part of the whole country, like you said. But when you look at it, Canada's population is the same as California's. So why
Yeah,
would you not want to be the king of LA and have the
true.
same amount of people? You know,
100%. Like, you look at it, like look at LeBron, right? LeBron is in LA, and look what he's got. Space Jam 2 coming out. He's got the Shop TV show. He's producing all these other content, uninterrupted, all that stuff, right? So you look at it, right? You go to LA, I think you're seeing it right now anyway, and like especially like all these other sports is like LA is the place to go, right? Because if you want to have a
exactly.
career outside of sports, you want to go to LA because it's not only the entertainment capital of the world, but there's so many different opportunities there, right? Whether that's in technology with the Silicon Valley by San
Yeah,
Francisco, right? California is the place to go if you're a star athlete, right? With that being said, though, right, one thing I did want to talk about with the Raptors as well is Drake, right? So both of you and I are big music fans,
yeah,
right? And Drake has
yeah,
a very special role with the Raptors. He is the global ambassador of the Raptors, right?
yeah.
Now, for
Since
me,
2013,
yeah, since 2013. So now for me,
long
right,
time.
it's kind of funny that when Drake came on to the Raptors, right, you saw them really explode success wise, right? Now, I'm not saying Drake's like the reason that the Raptors are successful. Well, it's clearly Masai Ujiri building the right team and Nick Nurse and all that, right? But I think Drake does have a part to play in the Raptors' success where
100%.
he made the Raptors cool. You know what I mean? Like,
I
you're
agree.
wearing the shirt right now,
Yo,
right?
yeah, look at this bad boy. This
Like
is
you're
sick.
wearing the Raptors OVO shirt. Like that's cool, right? And I know you and I are both big into music and pop culture where we appeal to that type of stuff, right? You see like Drake and the OVO Raptors OVO collabs, right? Whenever that stuff comes out, man, I want to get some because Drake is such a global icon,
Like these
right?
shirts, man, they resold for so much. You got it free
100%.
to the game. Boom. Right after the game, all over Facebook Marketplace, all over
Dude,
Kijiji.
I have a story about that. So when the Raptors won the title and Drake came out with the best in the world t-shirts for the Raptors, right? I saw them on TV and I'm like, oh my God, man, those are so nice. Like I need one, right? I had to go on Facebook Marketplace, and I'm living in Vancouver, right? I had to
Yeah.
go on Facebook Marketplace, find one. I found one. This guy was asking $200 for it. I
Yeah.
somehow I gave him like some sob story, like, oh man, I'm like a
Uh,
huge fan. I couldn't get him because I live out in Vancouver, and I got him at a $75, even though the t-shirt was
yeah. Look
$35.
at you.
30, like literally, I paid extra for the t-shirt plus shipping and handling because it looks so cool. The OVO with the Raptors, right? And I think
Amazing.
like that could be an attraction for free agents.
That's what I'm thinking, bro. Like, you see what Drake has done, not just with the Raptors, not just with music, but like he has built himself into a brand where that brand is like Michael Jordan-esque,
Yeah.
honestly, when
Like,
Michael Jordan did his thing. And dude, he's not an athlete, he's a rapper. Yet he is the global ambassador of the Raptors. He's got the OVO Athletic Center, which is the training facility for the Raptors. His OVO owl is on the Raptors
practice
jerseys.
jersey, yeah.
And this guy has a line with Nike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like,
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 it's insane. He says like I didn't even break a sweat, but like yet I got a shoe deal and stuff. Like, you know,
I
not
1000% agree with you, bro. Like you look at it, man. And if I'm a free agent in the NBA, right? And I want to go somewhere where I can align myself with somebody who can help me out, right? Why would it be Drake, man? Drake's the biggest celebrity in the world, right? And he's
in the
Canadian,
world. And he's
right?
yes,
And
I love him, man.
I love what you said about how he's basically Michael Jordan, because basically what he's building is a brand, a clothing brand, a Nike shoe line brand, a Nike brand,
A
whatever,
label.
a label. You know, he's got clubs, restaurants in Toronto, right? He's building a global empire here, and he's a part of the Raptors, right? And that's a huge selling point, right? You look at it like when the Brooklyn Nets first went to Brooklyn, right? They were owned by Jay-Z, right?
Mhm.
And what made it popular for people who want to go to Brooklyn was because Jay-Z was the owner, right?
Exactly.
It made it cool, right? And I'm saying what Drake did was he made the Raptors more mainstream cool to not just Canadians, but all for sure Canadians, but
Hip
also
hop
people
fans, basketball fans, anyone.
exactly. He made the Raptors relevant and cool, right? Whereas now the Raptors, their jerseys are no recognizable everywhere, right? Even to the point where whenever the Raptors struggle, there's Drake memes out there because they're so meshed together, right? And you
Drake
saw
and
it
the
in
Raptors go hand in hand.
they do. And the thing is, the Raptors brand has gotten bigger thanks to Drake, right?
Absolutely. You know, I said that he became the global ambassador in 2013. So
Yeah,
their partnership started in 2013. 5 years leading up to that partnership, the Raptors never made the playoffs.
never.
And the 6 years following, not only did they make the playoffs every year, but they won a chip.
And they've
And you
been one of the
can't,
most successful teams in the NBA since. Probably next to go behind Golden State, they have been the most successful team.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. You know, some people like, what did Drake do for the Raptors? But like, if you did your research and you thought about it based on not just basketball, but like the culture and the world around you, there's a reason why Drake is the global ambassador. There's a reason why he got a championship ring. There's a reason why
Yeah.
he was part of the championship parade.
He's a part of the team. Like people might joke around and think that, oh, Drake's just a super fan or Drake's just this and that, but Drake's a part of the organization. He has say on like the jerseys, the design of the court, right? Every year they come with the city edition jersey, right? It's
Yeah,
designed by him, and it's got the OVO gold on it, the black and
the
gold, right?
black and gold.
The
Yeah,
court changes. They always had Drake night, right?
Drake night.
It's more
Exactly.
than just a fan. He's a part of the culture of the organization now, where that's something that's really unique, and people might think it's weird and like it's not like traditional, but they bucked the trend and the Raptors saw a guy who has pull, not just amongst young people, right? But globally. And if you think about it, right? What do kids want to buy? Stuff they see their celebrities they follow and stuff like that. So you see it, kids see Drake at the Raptors game, right? They want a Raptors jersey. They see
Yeah,
Drake they see Drake hanging out with DeMar DeRozan or Kyle Lowry or Fred Van Vliet. They attract to those players, right?
exactly.
You see it. Drake is bringing notoriety to the Raptors and their players, right? Like you think Fred Van Vliet would not have that as big of a social media following because Drake calls him his twin, right? Because
His
they look
twin,
similar.
exactly.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right? You look at it, right? Drake brings more attention and um more pull to the Raptors. And you look at it, right? When Kawhi Leonard was a free agent, right? Drake was a part of the pitch to keep him in Toronto. Now, if he didn't stay, but just the fact that Drake was at a free agent pitch with a superstar player, right?
Mm,
Shows you the pull he has, right?
exactly. I
So
want to talk about one thing, two things, but first,
go
one
for it.
thing. Who do you, in this relationship between the Raptors and Drake, who's benefiting here? Who benefits more, or is it just a perfect relationship?
I think the Raptors benefit more because
Mm,
Drake's brand is bigger than the Raptors brand,
okay.
right? Like Drake, you saw over the last, I'd say five years that Drake's brand has gone from, rap superstar to like global icon, right? Like he is, when you look at all the artists out there, who is the biggest artist? Maybe Beyonce or,
Not anymore. It's only
yeah,
Drake.
it's pretty much he's the biggest artist in the world, right? He is the when you think about music and you look at musicians and MCs or whatever, you see Drake and you see him at number one, right? It's basically his world and we're all living in it. So the one thing is the Raptors are associated with Drake, so therefore their brand gets bigger by that sense. But the other way though, it helps Drake out too because you think what it shows that he is loyal to his city and his country, right? It
Yes,
shows that
exactly.
he like how he raps about Toronto and he used to tries to put Toronto on the map. It's another instance
It
where
was
he's
before
putting
the partnership.
before the partnership. This is just even more proof that he gives back to his city, right? Whereas a guy like The Weeknd, for example, great musician stuff like that, but I don't think he does enough to give back to his community of Toronto or Canada. Where I think Drake does to give back more.
Yeah, that's an interesting take you took there on the weekend. But I want to say that like I'm honestly thankful that that Drake is part of like Canadian and he's part of Toronto because like you see his relationship with LeBron and you see his relationship with Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Draymond. You saw it even in the NBA Finals when he was like joking with the guys on the other side of the court. And if Drake wasn't from Canada, the Raptors would maybe never even have a chip,
Oh yeah, it's true. Like you think
you
about it,
know?
right? Yeah, like it's crazy the fact that you think about it. Like, is Drake is a was a major. I don't think it's just. It's coincidence. I don't think it's a coincidence that when Drake joined the Raptors, they started becoming successful. Because when you bring smart, successful people in a party or organization like Masai Ujiri, Dwayne Casey at the time and won a title, even Drake, you bring successful people into your organization, success happens, right?
Exactly.
Smart people, you put smart people in a room, smart things are going to happen, right? And I just think that Drake being a part of the Raptors was a smart move, and it's proving dividends, right? I for once I could see Drake eventually buying a piece of the Raptors.
100%.
I,
And
I can
I
see
even
it.
heard that he had his own locker in or his own stall in the locker room.
Yeah, he's got his own locker in the.
Yeah, like it's pretty fucking cool, man.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. Like who's from a city and that loves sports or is an entertainer, right? You want to be appreciated by those athletes, those star athletes, or vice versa, right? Like rappers want to be ball players want to be rappers, right? Like the sports and music are
Music and there you
they
go.
go so synonymous, right? And I love it. I love it. I love seeing the two worlds come together like that. I think it's awesome, right? I love seeing like Spike Lee at the Knicks games going crazy. I like seeing, like Quavo and the rest of the Migos at the
Yeah,
Atlanta Hawks games, courtside, stuff like that. I think that's really cool, man. I think that's so cool. And it just makes your organization, your team so much cooler and more attractive to younger fans, which are the most important fans out there.
100%. Like even Travis Scott in Houston, like when Harden was there, you see them dap up and stuff. And yeah, man, like you said, man, sports and music are so synonymous, right?
So synonymous. So
We want to be them and they want to be us,
exactly.
you
Let's put
know?
a break on the music talk for a little minute, right? Let's talk about some NFL. So Carson Wentz got traded this week from Philadelphia to Indianapolis, right? And Deshaun Watson still wants to be traded, right? So I'm gonna ask you, Rain. The NFL has been a a league with so much, sorry, not so much, so little player movement, like in that sense, right? Where the players have the power. Now you're seeing the
Yeah.
players have more power, right? Is that a good thing for the NFL?
To be honest, I think so. Yeah, I think the NFL needs a lot of change, and I do think that they need to be a little bit more like the NBA, in the sense of like, yeah, players have a little bit more control. Players should have a little bit more respect amongst owners and the league. You know,
100%.
um, even when it comes to just like not even just like trades and what the players want, it's like I feel that the NBA takes care of like the players' thoughts and like how they want to be represented. We've seen the NBA always have the Martin Luther King Day shirts. We've always seen the NBA stand behind its players like that. Um, and the NFL doesn't do so as much, obviously. That's starting to change a little bit. And I think that just comes with respecting your players, because I think when the NFL was created, it was primarily white. And when they started having black players, the white owners thought of them basically as like, you I'm paying you to do this job, you do it, that's it. But as success happens and you
Money.
know money, exactly, things change, and players are not just players anymore,
I
you know
100%, right? Like there's the whole more than an athlete thing that
exactly.
LeBron James has brought to the front, which is a great initiative because they are more than athletes, right? You look at these professional athletes, these superstar athletes are role models, whether they want to be them or not. They are. Kids look up to
Exactly.
them, right? They are social activists because they have so much power in our culture now, where you look at it, right? You see when things are going on in the world, who do we look at? We look at politicians to say something, or we look at athletes, right? And nowadays, when you don't talk about it, people are trying to criticize you, where you're not talking about the issues anymore,
Exactly.
right? So I
Hmm.
think when you look at it in the NFL, right, those owners are so used to the fact that, hey, I'm cutting you a big check, just do your
Yeah.
job, just don't cause any trouble to me, right?
Shut up and dribble,
Shut up and
etc.
dribble, or shut up and throw the ball, right?
Yeah.
That's not the way anymore, man. The way of the world now is there's player empowerment now. People want to feel empowered. These players are making boatloads of money, man. You look at Patrick Mahomes just signed a deal last year worth
Yeah.
$450 million.
Yeah.
That's $500 million.
Yeah.
You don't think a guy that makes that much money has a little bit of pull, right? Of course he has to.
100%.
He's making that much money, right? So I see a guy like Deshaun Watson. He's making almost 35-40 million dollars a year, right? He was told by the organization he would be a part of the coaching search to find a new coach, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And they disrespected him. And for himself, that
Solidly.
not as that, and as anybody, if you're given a promise by a boss or by somebody that you work with, and pull, they just back out on that. Of course,
They
you're going to be
pull the
upset
rug
about it.
from under you.
Pull the rug from underneath. If that happened, of course you're going to feel disrespected, right? And not only that, they traded DeAndre Hopkins last year, one of his
Yeah.
best friends,
I don't
for
even
not
understand that.
for what? For a bag of peanuts, right? And not only was he one of his best friends, his boys, but he's also one of the best wide receivers in the NFL,
Exactly.
right?
That's his number one guy.
That's his guy, right? And you look at it, it 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 it's a bad situation, and it's good on him to come to the forefront. Now he hasn't really officially come on and said anything. It's been through his agent and some stuff like that in reports, but still, it's good on him to come out in the media and basically say that I want to be traded. It's not a good situation. I think if athletes, we as human beings, regular people, we have the choice to decide where we want to live, where we want to work, that type of stuff, right? Where these
Exactly.
professional athletes, right? You look at it, you get drafted into the league, the first 5, 6, 7 years of your career, you're stuck in that one spot. And then when you decide to go play somewhere else, you get ripped on, right? So
100%.
the one thing I do agree, don't like about requesting trades and stuff like that is if you just quit on your team, right? If you want out and you request a trade, that's totally within your right. But you also have a contractual obligation to show up to work and put your best foot forward. As long as you do that, I'm fine.
I agree. Here's the thing. For athletes, though, it's not always just about money. At a certain point, it is, and at a certain point, I actually look down upon that. Where when athletes decide to take a pay cut, I'm like, wow, that's actually really huge. The other thing is like athletes want to win. They go to the league to win a championship.
Yeah.
Do you think that Deshaun Watson is happy losing when he's playing amazing?
Yeah,
He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
100%. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he's playing for a losing team.
So is that fair to him?
No, it's not. But the to play devil's advocate on that is the owners can say, well, look, I'm paying you $40 million a year, and I'm in a salary cap league, so I can't pay. Unless you take a pay cut, I can't build a winning team around you, right? Which, in my opinion, is kind of the easy way out because there's always a way to draft younger players, make trades, figure ways out. You look at the Patriots,
Exactly.
man. You look at the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs are probably going to be in the Super Bowl again next year. They're paying their quarterback $40 million a year, right?
Yeah.
There's ways you can build a team around you, right? So I just think the biggest thing is with these athletes is empowerment is great. I love to see player movement, take control of their career, play where they want to play. But you can't like ever and the winning thing, but I love the fact that you brought up winning is always what matters the most because I think that's absolutely correct. I think, of course, money, making your money, but you also play this game to win, right? They're all competitors. They have competitive nature to be the best.
Yeah, and obviously, like ring chasing is like a different topic. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about
When you're at the end of your career and you're ring chasing, but if you're in your prime,
your prime. Yeah,
he's in his prime and he wants to play, not only play for, or he wants to, I think Deshaun Watson wants to win, but he also wants to be a part of an organization that he can trust. I don't think he
there
trusts the Houston
exactly.
Texans.
There's a lot of trust gone. I was
Yeah.
just about to say that, especially like you said, like he would have a say in who brought in the coach, and they didn't even like give Saleh who he wanted a
Mhm.
second interview.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's a big thing. I don't want to like necessarily change gears too much here, but when we're talking about trust and what the team offers to the players and what the players want when it comes to money and rings, you look at the other side of the coin, which is James Harden and the way he handled everything. He had a lot of great pull with the Houston Rockets. There was a lot of trust there. There was a lot of money on the table, and yet
But
the way
he
he went about things was very different.
was wrong. I think it, so. Here's the thing with Deshaun Watson. If he shows up to Houston Texans camp and plays and shows up with a good attitude, right? Or at least with a decent attitude that, I'm here for my teammates, I have no problem with that. The problem with James Harden was this. He came up to training camp late, out of shape, during a pandemic where there's videos on social media that saw him hanging out with rappers, like Little Baby, partying, going to strip clubs, all that stuff. It did not look good at all. We're in the middle of a pandemic, right? And you are in a strip club or at parties not wearing a mask, right? People see that, right? They see that. And now it was all a ploy by James Harden to cause problem to get out of Houston
Yeah,
quicker, right? To force his way out. And then he like threw his teammates under the bus like John
exactly.
Wall, Boogie Cousins, right? I didn't like that, right?
Yeah,
I think Houston Rockets did more than enough to, coddle you for how many years, right? At the end of the day, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and realize, hey, I didn't get it done with Chris Paul. I didn't get it done with Russell Westbrook. I didn't get it done with Dwight Howard, right? It kind of
hmm
falls back on his shoulders. He can put the blame on the organization as much as he wants. But at the end of the day, they brought in how many players, how many people, different people to help you win a title, and you weren't able to do it as you were still the main focal point, right? And then
exactly.
when things kind of get a little rough patch, you want to go to Brooklyn. Fine, you want to go to Brooklyn, that's fine. But the way he
hmm
carried it, the way he, took the whole carried the whole situation and all that stuff, when he's getting paid a lot of money, and he didn't have the respect of his team for his teammates and his new head coach to even show up
Yeah,
on time or in shape. I didn't like that.
100%. And I think there's a line there, um, and there needs to be a balance between the team and the league, and there needs to be a balance between the players, because there's so many things that happen when trades are happening. There's like, okay, Watson wants a trade. He played out the full season. And you know what? That's a fair thing because he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He deserves to be playing on a winning team that there's mutual trust. Then there's James Harden, who, for some reason or the other, wants out of Houston. Why? Your teammates suck? No, they don't.
Right.
You want to go to Brooklyn? You want to play with the best two guys in the league, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant? Fine. The way you went about that is wrong. Then there's the narrative of Andre Drummond. and the Cleveland Cavaliers wanting to trade Drummond and benching him when he's saying, "Hey, I'm here ready to play for you guys."
Yeah,
How do you view that?
and on for me, I think that's a great point you brought up because I think that we get on the players and it's a guy like James Harden who got ripped on for that, but nobody said anything other than Draymond Green about the fact that the Cavs benched a fully healthy Andre Drummond because they want to trade him, right?
Exactly.
Which is wrong as well. Just as equally as wrong. You have a guy who loves to play the game of basketball, right?
Yeah.
Does it professionally, right? He's
Yeah.
fully healthy. He's a competitor, and you tell him to sit on the bench the whole game in street clothes because we don't
Yeah.
want to get you to hurt because we want to trade you,
Hey,
right?
thanks for dressing. Go change. Come back.
Yeah, exactly. Now I get what like even the Pistons they send Blake Griffin home because they don't want to they want to trade him, right? For me, okay, fine. If you want to trade a guy and you send him home, fine. But don't disrespect the guy and the work he put in by having him sit on the bench. Andre Drummond, although I don't think he's a superstar player, I think he's a very good NBA player. The numbers speak for themselves, right? He's
Yeah.
getting paid $28 million for a reason. He has to be somewhat of a good player, right? And to disrespect him like that by sitting him on the bench in street clothes, right?
Mhm.
It's not right, right? And I think there has
100%.
to be that Draymond is right. There is a double standard, but there also has to be a fine line where we understand that hey, players have a right if their contract is over and they want to play somewhere else, they have that right. Where and also teams also have the right to trade players because that's an asset and they feel that might better their team, right? But you can't disrespect people's egos in the same time. And I think that's such a big struggle going on in sports right now where players and teams want one thing, and there's always that constant power struggle right now, right? There's not that that relationship where they can work well together, right? Where you know, hey, I want to get traded. I don't think this is the best situation for me. Hey, okay, you know what? Maybe we can work something out to try to get help both sides. But
Yeah.
it ends up being an ego game where James Harden, I'm gonna cause big problems. I want to get out of here. You trade me now, right? Or you see where the teams look, we don't want you anymore, even though we just traded for you. Look, you got to move on, right? Just sit on the end of the bench. I don't think that's good.
Me either. There's got to be a relationship, an equal partnership where it's like it's fair for all parties, but at the end of the day, that's only in a perfect world, right? This
Yeah,
is business.
I agree with you. So let's slide back over to the side of music. So, Rain, since you and I are both big music fans, as we talked about earlier, I want to ask you, what is the music you are listening to right now?
Yeah, I'm always listening to hip hop. I'm always listening to Drake. I don't want to like Drake, but
It's a huge
dude, he makes
Drake.
good
Yeah,
music. He
he
makes
does.
fucking good music.
He does.
Um, I'm also listening to Lil Baby. I like him.
Lil
He's
Baby's
got
hard,
some
man. He's hard.
bangers. And when I'm really feeling it, like yo, I gotta get shit done. Like Pop Smoke.
Rest
You
in peace,
know,
Pop Smoke, man. I definitely
rest in peace, Pop Smoke.
like I 100%, man. Like for myself, if I'm looking through my phone right now, who I was listening to lately, just before you came on, right? I was listening to some Drake because I think that Drake. The thing about Drake, man, is that I know we're talking about Drake a lot this episode, but
This is
we're
the
both
Drake episode.
like big fans of Drake. But the biggest thing with Drake is he makes music for like kind of every mood. You know what I mean? Whether that's
100%.
like you're like you're in like a little tough senti situation where you got to put some Marvin's Room on, get yourself through that tough time, whether that's a breakup or a little fight with your girl, you know,
Yeah.
or you gotta get it a little bit pumped up or something like
Yeah.
that, or just listen to some real shit. Drake does have that.
Yeah.
One guy right now that I do like a lot is Lil Baby. I think
Yeah.
Lil Baby makes I don't know what every song he hops on, whether he features on, it goes whether the song is shit, right? If he hops on a Future, bro, like that song is instantly a banger in my phone because
Bro, it's his flow. Like the
yeah,
way that he sounds on the mic, bro, it's just like, this guy
it
is
just it just
good.
it just goes right. It goes right. Of course, Pop Smoke. I'm a big Nipsey Hussle guy too.
Yeah.
I love Nip.
Background
I think like he can like the way he was able to story tell it throughout his music and the messages he portrayed were some real shit, man. Some real shit that you don't get a lot with these new rappers like right now, right? Where you don't get like stuff talking about people can relate to. You know what I mean? Like I just
That's why I
feel
like the West Coast rap. You look at Nipsey, you look at Kendrick, you look at YG, and like they have stuck to like the old school roots
there's
that
substance to their
NWA,
music. There's substance to it.
Tupac.
It's not just
Yeah.
it's not just saying whatever, right?
Fuck bitches get money.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
not just to
something
fuck
like
bitches
that.
get money, right? It's like there is like a message behind the madness, kind of say, right? Um,
Mhm.
Now I'm gonna ask you, what was the first artist that really got you into hip hop?
The first artist that really got me into hip hop,
Yeah,
Lil Wayne.
Lil Wayne.
Yeah, 100%. Back in the day, honestly, like, and Timbaland. Does that count?
I guess
Does he
so. Yeah,
count?
I guess I'll let it count.
Yeah. Timbaland, I liked like a lot of his old music in like the 02, 04 area. And then Lil Wayne. Uh,
What was
he
your
was
favorite? What's your favorite Lil Wayne song?
um Lollipop. Is
Okay,
that
you know
fair?
what's funny? You know what's funny you say that because I was listening to the Carter 1, 2, and 3 last week. Just walking around and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I'm like, yo, old Wayne had some fucking bangers, man. Like he fucking like his shit slapped, right?
Yeah.
And that's a really good answer because what's it called? Um, the first is pretty funny. The first rap album, song, artist that really got me into it was 50 Cent.
Okay, yeah.
I
I know you're a big
remember, I
50.
remember, like I think I don't know what it was. It might have been like Much Music back in the day, right? Like I remember I was like maybe like eight, maybe like eight or nine, maybe 10. And I was
Yeah.
watching Much Music, channel 24, for all those people that don't remember back in Vancouver, channel 24. Um, and in the club, music video came on.
Hmm.
And I just remember seeing, I was like, wow, like this is like I didn't really care about music and stuff like that before. Right? I thought music was annoying when I was a little kid, right? It was just some loud noise and stuff like that. And I remember listening to it, like, oh shit. Like, and I was like, oh wow, like this is like really, really something, right? And I always never forget that was the first song that kind of clicked in my head. And I was like, wow, I really like hip hop and rap music, right?
Yeah.
And of course, now it's just become such a big part of my life where it's not only just something that I listen to throughout the day, but it's also something that I like to watch documentaries on, research stuff on, right? Really become like kind of a historian on because it's so interesting, man. It's so interesting the way like hip hop music and like sports intertwine, right? Hip hop and movies intertwine, right?
Yeah.
It's such a huge part of like my upbringing and like not my upbringing, but like the way I am, right? Like the movies I like, the sports teams I like, all that stuff, man. It kind of circles all into that one realm of hip hop, where it's all kind of intertwined like that.
Music I think is actually really an amazing gift for the world. We all speak different languages, but I feel like music unites us.
It's a universal language,
Um,
man.
exactly. And I was reading up on it, and in 2017, the most popular music in America changed from rock to hip hop. And I see that hugely. If you looked at a movie like Rocky, what was the soundtrack in Rocky? And then you look at the movie Creed and Creed 2, and you look at, oh, what's the soundtrack here?
Yeah.
And you look at the soundtrack in Black Panther, what's the soundtrack there? And even watching like Leafs games, the music that they play in the breaks, I know you hate the Leafs, but the music that they play in the Leafs switched from like those rock songs and like
Traditional
those like
rock and roll songs, yeah.
electric songs to like, oh, whoa, that's Drake. Oh, that's the weekend that they're playing at hockey games.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like it's crazy. Like I can attest to that too. Cause like when you go to Canucks games, right? One of my biggest pet peeves at Canucks games is the fact they don't play enough relatable music to the younger generation. They play like your old
Yeah,
school, like old school hockey songs and rock and roll songs, stuff like that, which is cool, right? No problem with that whatsoever, right? I think rock and roll, I kind of dabble that here and there, right? But it's not my cup of tea per se, right? But I think if you want to attract younger people, you got to play the music that younger people are listening to, right? What are most younger
exactly.
people listen to? Hip hop music, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's a great point you brought up with Rocky, where you look at the first Rocky movie, and you kind of see the evolution now to where they were in the same kind of series in the same family. In the Creed movies now, it's all hip hop based, right? Now that
Exactly.
might like so you're just seeing the shift in how America, which is basically the cultural center for Canada too, right? And what's
Yeah.
cool, right? How it shift from that traditional rock and roll now to that kind of hip hop R&B type movement now, right? Where
Yeah.
you look at it, two of the biggest R&B singer, the biggest rapper are Canadian, right? Which is kind of cool too to put out there as well.
Exactly. And you even we're forgetting one huge Canadian. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Nav.
Justin Bieber.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that's kind of that's kind of funny how Bieber kind of gets slid under the rug now because there's these guys like Drake, Weekend, Nav that are so big now, right? And
Yeah,
they're all from a country with only 36 million people, like you said, man. Like there's
exactly.
so many great people coming out of this country, right? And
Yeah,
good, what a time to be alive to be Canadian, right?
exactly. There's actually a lot of really good artists coming out. Pressa,
Pressa,
um, I really like his music.
yeah.
And it's a sad story. But Houdini, you
Houdini,
know,
yeah. Like
it's becoming sad. There's a lot of jealousy in Toronto, in with these gang rappers and stuff like that. And it's really sad because like I think Toronto was actually labeled somewhere. I read it somewhere where like Toronto is labeled as the city of fallen angels or fallen rappers or something like that. And it's
yeah,
so true because there's so many talented guys that can come out of Toronto. We even see Tory Lanez. We forgot about him.
Tory
You
Lanez,
know,
yeah.
yeah, Roy Woods, right?
There's so many.
Um,
And yeah, like you said, man. Like, I'm from what I was never like big into the Toronto music scene, just because not being from here or anything like that. But seeing like how many great artists and how many great creative minds. What's the name? Even the girl who sang the national anthem at the Raptors game in the first game. I forget her name. I forget
I'm
her
not
name.
sure.
Jessica Reyes, I think her name is something like that.
Okay.
There's like really, really great Canadian artists out there, right?
Yeah,
And there's so many not even artists, actors, comedians, podcasters,
exactly.
talent, right? So I think like Canada's definitely on a wave, man. Canada's definitely on a wave.
For real. And I want to pitch a song. I don't know if you've heard it. It's called Blue Jays, by Young Tory, Hood Rich Rockley. It's by a whole bunch of Toronto artists, and they came together and made this song after Houdini died, which was really cool. If you haven't listened to it, take a
I
listen.
definitely will listen to it, right? I definitely will give it a listen to.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah,
we'll
man,
just
I think that's it for today. Unless you want to
yeah.
talk about anything else, man.
No, we'll save that for our private conversations. I'll call you later.
Okay. Anyway, guys, I want to thank Rayn for coming on. We definitely will have him on again. Like I said, you can follow me on all my socials, right? I will have these videos up on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, all that fun stuff. Keep it locked with us. I want to thank you again, Rayn, for coming on, and stay safe, everybody.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to be on your podcast. Follow me too at
Oh, don't worry.
Rain76.
I will drop your socials on there too. Don't worry.
Drop that shit, bro.
Don't worry. Anyway, guys, take it easy. Be safe.